So anyway, so they said, come in, come in. The house was intact. Not only this apartment, the whole house was intact. 50 utca. You know where it is? Yes. 50 utca 38. So I came in and I looked around, empty, the family is not here. What am I going to do? I went to my closet where my things were and I took out the lettuce. Nothing else. I had no shoes. Everything was rags already on me. But somehow from this house I'm not going to take anything. They're coming home. It was like a magic over me. I didn't take my own things. And I took the lettuce, that's all. It was in a wallet and I bought it out. So if they're not home yet, I'm going to inquire. I'm going to my boss, the one who I used to work for, to ask. They are on Octagon Haram. So it's a 10 minutes walk. I went up and I knock on the door, and who opens the door? Magda, my boss, the wife of my boss. And we were very happy for each other, and her old mother was there, and the baby. And we told each other how she got, you know how she got saved in Budapest with her pregnancy together. She was a clever woman, and she made very good friends before yet with the házmester, vagy mondják, the housekeeper. This was a very fancy house and a nice...
Oh, the concierge.
How?
A super.
Yeah, super. And he gave super money to let her stay down in the basement where the coal and the wood is with her mother. And there she gave birth to a child.
Wow.
And the bombs are coming down. Her husband was away in the Ukraine. Very few people came back from Ukraine, but he did. So when I saw, but this was back on their own home, she cleaned up, like everything was back to normal. She never asked me what happened to the, and she had the right, at least ask me. No, she never asked me. But what I did is, I took that half a pig off my soldier and I gave it to her. And that was, it could have, my aunt said, next I went to my aunt, my father's sister. She was a very, very religious Hasidic woman. And I told her the story. I said, what? You gave away a half it? Oh, what? You lost your mind. I could not buy you a street of houses from that half a pig.
Yeah.
Well, I said I gave it to her and that's it. So then I went and my aunt, and I don't know if she knew that then Auschwitz was, because she never said a word to me. Nobody ever said, until I heard from some of the girls and the women, very few came back, Kalocsa, and by Bonyhad, on a Bonyhadi women. I never heard of it, and Hashem just helped me over it. How I got over it, day by day, it's amazing. But I think I never got over it. That's the truth. How can you get over it?
How many people, how many family members were taken to Auschwitz?
I had two sisters, one younger and one older than me, and my mother. And then my mother had a big family, sisters, brothers. My father had a big family. It's hardly any. I don't think you can make a million out of them. Families were just wiped out.
Families and communities. Communities were wiped out also. Entire communities.
Yes.
Tell me, did you have any encounter with the Nyilas, with the Hungarian fascists?
Oh, we were afraid of them.
They were worse than the Germans.
I had a muzzle with the Germans. It was the end of the war already. But the Nyilas and
They're terrible. Many of the Germans were regular people. They were in the Wehrmacht. They were not
Yes.
SS or Gestapo.
Yes.
The regular people who got drafted.
Yeah. Imagine what time it was that already. The main person who took care of the rest of these soldiers, we never saw him.
And you were there when the Russians came into Budapest?
Sure, they went into Budapest.
You were there then, right?
No, not when they came in. They were in already when I came up to Budapest.
Oh, it was already liberated? Or
Yes,
whatever.
yes.
When did you get up to Budapest? They liberated Budapest on the 17th
The
of...
first time could have been sometimes February.
Because they established a foothold on the 18th of January.
Yes.
On Pest, not in Budapest.
Yes, uh-huh. Yeah.
And the bridges were exploded. There are no bridges, right?
Yes.
They were all bombed out.
Most of them were damaged. Yeah.
And can I ask, when did you first see your father? The
Me and my
encounter.
father.
Can you tell us what happened when you saw your father?
That was something. Again, things went only by mouth, word to word, mouth to mouth, the words. And I'm sitting in the city we used to live in, Kalocsa, and waiting, and it wasn't a very pleasant way of life. I had no home, I had no family, and practically a couple of people, even families, came back already. And they had a mass of 2-3 families, not only 2-3. All the apartments was intact. These Jewish, they waited also the Goyim for the Jews to come home. They didn't right away take everything out. And I lived once with a friend. I was alone. I was afraid. Nobody lived alone after the war. We were afraid from the Russian soldiers. They were very mean, and the best thing to stay away from them. So I had to live. So a young couple came back, and they invited me to stay with them. So that's where I stayed. But it wasn't pleasant. They tried very hard, but waiting for parents to come home and sisters and stay with the strange young couple, it wasn't pleasant. And then I heard again by mouth to mouth that my father was coming home. No, I said then it's gonna be a short time now. And I didn't know if he's coming down to Kalocsa or staying in Budapest. I didn't know. And then I heard that my father is in Budapest. So I picked myself up again, and I went. It took a few days until I got up there, and I knew right away. They didn't have to tell me it was my uncle's house. Where else would he stay? And there he was, and I went in. It was a very, very touchy meeting, and I felt bad for him. If I saw him on the street, I wouldn't recognize him. He was 42 years old altogether, young man. He came home all white. All white. He was a very nice, tall, handsome man. He was that skinny. But I knew I'm going to meet my father. His face did look like, but yes.
And when did your father know that your mother and your sisters were taken to Auschwitz. Did he know already?
When the American soldiers came in right away, they made up names from one lager to the other that they should be able to find each other. So my father understood that they are people who stayed alive. And then the women came to the men's lager, men's went to look for family. So he understood that they're not everybody, but there is such a thing. And he was waiting. But then we had later we had friends who had known my older sister. She carried on almost to the last minute. But that march, what you heard about, she was in that. It was still bitter winter in Germany. And she had no more clothes left, no shoes left. That my friend told me, she was wrapped around in a sheet. And that's all she had. And she kept saying, girls, move on, go. Move on, don't stay. And at the end, she couldn't. And they begged her, come, try. I said, I can't, my legs don't carry me. Frozen. And she knew exactly what she's doing. She sat down. And when one sat down in this movement, that was the end. And she was a very, very lively girl. Nobody would think that she wouldn't make it. Such is the terrible war.
And can I ask, like I asked Leo, your husband, a very hard question about what you went through and the terrible tragedies and the terrible, to have lost your mother and your sisters, but you still remain from.
Okay, this is our nature. First of all, it's not only my nature, but it was something about you going, go. Okay, I'll see you in the morning. Thank you. And so everybody, as the nature told her, my nature is to look ahead. Not that I want to hustle so and forget for 1 minute. But like he said, he wanted to marry me. I married him. And then we look for something, future. And once the children came, it gave us a good excuse why we want to get ahead. And we never spoke to the children about this war. It's only now, maybe a couple of 2-3 years ago, that Leo has all the time. And the children know this is very stylish, so to say, to tell the stories, what happened, that he's telling a few things. It's hard to tell, and first of all, the young children we didn't want to hurt. It's hurting young people to hear such a terrible things and to see your parents in such a distress. It looks like Hashem gave us this thing that no, don't. And I asked my father, yes, when he came home, I asked, there was Tisha B'Av. And I said, dear father, what is the Tisha B'Av was thousands of years ago, and what was Tisha B'Av comparing to this? How come they're not writing about this, the war, and make a fest they are of this? So my father said, she called him my kislányom, said, my little girl, it's not the time for it yet. That was in the 40s, 50s. It's not the time for it yet. There's gonna be a time. So I guess that's the way it had to be. Yes.
You went through a lot, Iby.
Iby, it's incredible. Iby, can I ask you a very big, if you can, only if you can, the 2 letters that your mother wrote when she was, is it at all possible to read part of it?
Yes, sure.
Because
I know
it's something, it's something unbelievable. It's.
I'll try to I'll tell you the Hungarian, and you, yeah. Wait, I bring my better glasses because it's very
faint, right?
Otherwise, it's a short letter, and it won't make a sense if I don't say every word.
I'm just going to show what I'm holding. This is holding history. This is 2 postcards that Iby's mother wrote when she was being deported. I think it is the most precious and rare postcards that were ever written. It's such a this is the post. It was 2 postcards. Iby, this is very, very special, very difficult, and
Maybe before you read it, where did they take your family from? From Kalocsa or Bonyhad?
No, Kalocsa.
From Kalocsa.
Anyukám és a 2 testvére.
Directly to Auschwitz?
My father was a munkatábor.
So how did they take them? Directly from Kalocsa, or they went to Pécs?
Yeah, not Pécs. They went to Kecskemét.
Oh, to Kecskemét.
I have the papers all.
Kecskemét is on the other side, no? Kecskemét is on the other side of the Danube, no?
Oh, yeah. Kecskemét is almost by the Tisza.
What was that far?
Yes.
So
Iby, your mother was, when she was being taken away, she wrote this in just as she was being deported.
This is written by pencil.
By pencil.
That's the problem. But Baruch Hashem, that I can still see it. Drágáim, my dearest ones, because she writes to the whole family. Today is Friday, so you see there is a date here. Péntek 17, és most indulunk Szegedre, first Szeged.
We're starting now to go to Szeged, which is a big town in southern Hungary, near, I guess, Croatia or Serbia.
They were gathering there, the Jews from the smaller cities. Ne aggódjatok miattunk. Don't worry about us. But it's aggódni, this is more than worry. Yes? Yeah. This is more my mother wrote beautiful. And no aggódjatok. Onnan írunk. They didn't know where they took them, so they said, we will write from there.
Yeah.
A jó Isten segítségével, mert ő megsegít minket.
We're going to write from there with the help of God, because He helps us.
Yes, milliószor csókol anyu és gyerekek.
And we kiss you millions of times, mother and the children.
Yeah, and then she even writes to me, nem írtam apunak semmit.
I didn't write anything to father.
She didn't get to write to my mother, to my father. And here is my older sister, drága Ibykém, nagyon, look at this, my older sister, my dearest Ibykém, watch yourself very much. Always. They were always afraid for me. Watch yourself. Nagyon. Ez a fontos. Edith. Yes. And the other, they didn't even have time to write here. But this is the thing. Megkérem azt a jó szívű embert, this is going this word already. Megkérem azt a jó szívű embert, hogy I can't make it out anymore. Well, I will bring us, there is a, yes.
You ask that man with a good heart. That's what you could read, the rest of it you can. You know, if you take it to Graphos, maybe they can enhance it at Graphos.
We can do something.
Maybe what?
They can they can improve the quality.
Oh yes.
Can I see it? Because maybe the contrast has to be changed. Can I see that? To see what the technical problem is. Yeah, probably.
I said to my daughter today that maybe in Yad Vashem there are such a...
do you have a scanner?
I don't have anything.
No, the computer.
But they should have, because they're bringing such a things for them that they should have.
Maybe can we read this one? Is it possible to read from this one?
Let's leave it alone.
There we go.
No, please.
It's one.
No.
One.
Iby, there's a store called Graphos on Rehov Betzalel. It's a copy shop.
Oh, maybe I'll go.
And a lot of artists go there.
Yes.
They do very high quality printing.
Oh, yes.
And just tell them that you like to improve the quality of the print.
Oh, yeah? Okay, I'll go there.
Because the problem is contrast. You have to make it more contrasting.
Yeah. But Iby, do you think it's possible with this one? To read this one?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, here it is. You are right. Megkérem azt a jószívű embert, aki ezt megtalálja.
Oh, I asked that man with a good heart finds this.
Kérem, dobja a postaládába.
I asked they should put it in a postal box.
And then she writes, drága kisanyám, she calls me my little mamele. Úton vagyunk.
We're on the road.
Kassa felé.
Toward Kassa. Oh, that's in Slovakia.
Jól vagyunk.
We are okay.
Apusnak nem írtam.
I didn't write to Daddy.
Vigyázz magadra.
Take care of yourself.
Milliószor csókollak, ölellek téged, és az egész családot.
I kiss you, hug you millions of times, and the whole family.
Yeah.
And the address was to your home.
That's all.
She addressed the address. Did she address it to the home?
This is my name and Budapest. That was it.
Went to Budapest.
Let's go.
Okay. Just want to do. One moment.
You are right. They have a lot of machinery there.
Yes. A lot of what?
Iby, I just want to thank you so much for sharing this with us and sharing it with everybody. I've never ever seen a postcard with such meaning ever in my life before. It's written with tears. It's written with, and it's
every story is an unusual story.
But you are really unusual but the most remarkable person. And you should just only have nachas and good health.
Thank you, you
and
too.
Admei Vesrim and just nachas from your family that you so much deserve.
Thank you, you too.
It's been the greatest honor, really.
Thank you.
And you know, the good thing that came out is that you married a very good man.
And you raised a beautiful family.
Right. And I really appreciate it. You did.
Iby, thank you so much.
Yes, I thank you that you came. It was very kind. And otherwise we meet only in simchas and have some nachas from your families.
That's right. Amen.
And hear good news from all over.
Only. And thank you very much.
Thank you.
I hope that it was not too hard for you.
You are more than welcome. This is nothing that anybody else could do. If somebody wants to know today already, it's a kind of, also it's a kind of maybe relief.
In a sense it is.
To have people know what kind of people did they do this with.
The very best. The very best, Iby. Your family was the very best.
It's all right if people see this. It is all right if people watch this.
For who?
No, it's okay if people watch the interview that you gave.
Who are they?
I don't know.
No, it will be good. It will give people such chizuk. Such
How do you feel about that, Iby?
I don't know, it depends who. It's family.
No, it could be